Oh, there's such a gloomy atmosphere in the house. I wonder if it's because someone spends all day in bed. She can't even take care of herself, let alone do household chores. It's so unpleasant to see. Seriously, how long does she plan to stay at our home? All she does is sleep. My mother-in-law, Catherine, and sister-in-law, Sarah, would complain whenever they saw me.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't have accepted her as our daughter-in-law. It's the same whether she's here or not. In fact, by her being here, she's just increasing the living expenses.
Even my father-in-law, Jake, joined in with such terrible remarks. My name is Mary, and I'm turning 32 this year. I've been married to my husband, Jacob, for 5 years. My father passed away due to illness when I was in high school, and my mother died shortly after I got married. I loved drawing pictures, and I have dreamt of becoming a picture book writer since I was a child. After high school, I attended a design school to make my dream come true, and I was able to work as an illustrator at a small design office. My husband, who worked at an advertising company, requested illustrations for an advertising character from our company, which led to us meeting each other. We had a smooth relationship and got married 2 years after we met. After marriage, due to my husband's wishes, we started living with his parents and his sister. At the time of my marriage, I became a freelance and decided to work from home. I wanted to be a good wife who supports her husband and family, so I worked hard at house chores along with my job. Catherine didn't like house chores and told me to do as I pleased, so I was able to do the house chores smoothly without her nagging at me. Sarah often left home to dine out and have drinks with her colleagues and friends, so we rarely ate together, and she didn't seem to care about the house chores. I led a simple but peaceful life, but 3 years ago I accidentally missed a step on a staircase at the station and got seriously injured. My life has changed dramatically since then. I suffered a spinal cord injury and had no choice but to live in a wheelchair, unable to move my lower body. I was quite depressed right after the injury, but I gradually got used to this inconvenient life after 3 years. My in-laws were being thoughtful about me at first, but their attitudes changed over the 3 years as they realized I would never stand on my own feet again. And by the way, Sarah got married 2 years ago and moved out, but she said this as she left. I'm thrilled that I won't have to see you like this anymore. Yay! I was surprised to hear that and realized that my sister-in-law has such a terrible personality. From their attitudes, it was clear that my in-laws found me as a huge hassle. Looking at it objectively, I could see that having a person with a condition like me at home would be a hassle, so I didn't argue back to their mean comments. The old-fashioned house didn't have enough space for me to move around in a wheelchair, so I had no choice but to spend the day in bed. However, I had been working from home before the accident, so I can still work as usual even though I can't move freely. Fortunately, I was able to continue working because the paralysis didn't affect my upper body. I now have a housekeeper coming to take care of me in addition to my helper. I'd like to ask the helper to assist me with house chores like cleaning and laundry, but apparently this is not allowed if I'm not living alone. If there are healthy family members living in the house together, it seems we are not allowed to receive any assistance with shopping for necessities and house chores, so I can only ask the helper to assist with my physical care. Catherine is healthy and has no physical disabilities or chronic illnesses, and Jake, who retired last year, spends most of the day at home. I can't rely on my husband, who works during the day, to take care of me, and while I'd like to ask my in-laws, I can't really depend on them either. At first, after the accident, my in-laws were helping with my chores a bit, but they've gradually become to neglect them. Well, Catherine never liked doing house chores, so she probably found it annoying that she had to do more because of me. Even my husband, who used to say kind words and show concern, hasn't been doing anything recently, and we hardly talk.
Isn't caregiving a woman's job? I have work, so it's impossible for me to do that.
That's his attitude, as if it's none of his business. As usual, my in-laws don't do anything, and due to rules, the helper can't really assist with my daily life. Seeing this situation, the helper suggested, "A housekeeper can help you with your daily life." What? A housekeeper? That's a waste. What luxury are you trying to afford? But if I can't get help with the laundry, I'll have trouble changing clothes, and I also want to ask for help with necessary shopping. Are you trying to work me, your own mother-in-law, that hard? How dare you? That's not what I mean. I just can't move freely, so I have no choice but to ask someone. When I replied like that, my in-laws gave me a cold look, acting as if I was nothing but a nuisance. Really? You're nothing but trouble. We can't afford such luxury. It's okay, I'll find a way to pay for the housekeeper. I was grateful that I continued working. That's what I thought at that moment. So my mother-in-law reluctantly agreed, and we decided to have a housekeeper come to our house. Then a 52-year-old woman named Amy came over to the house as the housekeeper. She had lost her husband quite a while ago and seemed to have no children. I thought she resembled my own mother in some ways. Amy was more than I expected, very kind, and she took care of me thoughtfully. While staying with my in-laws, the only people I could talk to were my helper and Amy. As soon as Amy arrived, my in-laws started trying to get her to do their housework as well. Hey, while you're at it, do our cleaning and laundry as well. I must decline. Huh? You're a housekeeper, but what are you doing if you're not cleaning and doing laundry? It would be an additional fee in doing house chores for other family members. If you're willing to pay that, then I can do it. Huh? You're quite cheeky. Who do you think you are when you're just a housekeeper? There were such arguments like that, but I felt somewhat relieved seeing Amy firmly refuse Catherine's demands. Living a life with assistance from a helper and Amy, one day, after about a year, Sarah came back home due to getting a divorce from her ex-husband. It seems her ex-husband had cheated on her. He's an idiot. Probably was tempted by that woman. I'm glad I got rid of such a man like him. Although she says such things, I had an impression that her ex-husband, who works at a major company, is a serious, diligent man who works really hard. And he's not the type to do things like that. Therefore, even when I heard the story of his affair, I found it hard to believe that he actually did that. I have various thoughts, but arguing back to Sarah about it seemed tiring. So I let it pass without saying anything. A housekeeper? I'm so lucky. You'll be doing my share of the housework too, right? Sarah said the same thing as her parents, but Amy also cut her off. Seeing the state of my in-laws, who didn't speak a single word of kindness to me even under the same roof, it seemed that Amy didn't have a good impression of them either. I refuse. Huh? Then why are you here? I was requested to help Mary with her personal needs. What? Such a useless housekeeper, just like our daughter-in-law, Mary. You must be stingy with your money. Well, I suppose it can't be helped since you only earn so little from your side job. Can't even handle your own things properly, huh? I hired a housekeeper because I'm disabled. You and Catherine can handle your own things just fine, so you don't need a housekeeper, do you? When I said that, they became silent. But due to Sarah coming back, the sarcasm from my in-laws has gotten worse. A useless, bedridden daughter-in-law just makes our house cramped. You're really in the way. We're happy with Sarah being here. Always living such a good life, huh? You're just doodling while lying in bed, claiming it's work, right? Even when I'm working, Sarah deliberately comes to my room just to make sarcastic comments. I'm tired of listening to the daily sarcasm, so I decided to consult with my husband. Hey, could you ask your mother and Sarah to be a little nicer to me? Their words are hurting me.
Huh? But it's the truth, right? Can't help it, can we?
What do you mean, the truth?
Well, you just lie in bed all day and can't do a single house chore, can you?
What do you mean, just lying in bed? I'm working too, you know.
Work, huh? Is that what you call what you're doing in bed? Unlike me, you don't have to get jostled in a crowded train every day, so I envy you.
That's true. But I also try to work hard and be useful to everyone, even if it's just a little bit.
Even mom and dad are unhappy with a daughter-in-law who can't do any house chores. They can't help but see you as a useless person.
What? Are you seriously saying that?
Well, you just have to deal with my parents and not care about such things.
My husband just said that. He wouldn't even worry about me, let alone give me any real advice. I feel defeated by a husband who doesn't consider my feelings at all. I also constantly feel the frustration of not being able to move my body freely. If only I could walk and move freely at my own will. If I could live a life as a normal person. There hasn't been a day since the accident that I didn't wish for it. How sad and painful it is to be unable to do such normal, simple things. I wanted my husband to at least understand that. Is it just my selfishness to think so? Is it even a luxury to feel this way? I tell myself not to cry over such things, but tears come out anyway. Even after the accident, even with my disabled body, I can't give up. I have to keep looking forward and live strong. There are many more people in the world who are in much harder and more painful situations. I've been encouraging myself to think that until today. It is lonely not having my parents around in these difficult times, not having anyone to talk to or rely on. But on the contrary, I think it's good that they didn't have to see me like this. But still, I feel more and more miserable when I think that there's no one in my in-laws who would side with me. But even so, I have nowhere else to go even if I were to be left alone. Couldn't my husband and I at least live with just the two of us, away from my in-laws? While I was thinking about such a possibility, one day, my husband suddenly says something unbelievable to me.
I've been thinking about what my parents have been saying.
When Jacob started saying that, I was happy, thinking he might finally consider my pain. And I waited for what he was going to say next. However, as soon as I heard the next words, I felt like I was thrown into hell.
I think they're right after all.
What do you mean, they're right?
I think I'd prefer a younger and healthier wife than you.
What?
I'm the eldest son, and I have to think about being the successor, right? But well, you and me, how should I put it? It's impossible now.
The moment I heard those words, I felt a shocking blow to the head. I never thought my own husband would say such things to me. I realized that I couldn't expect anything from my husband and that I was alone in this house. He kept talking afterward, but I couldn't hear anything anymore. But I understood that my husband wanted to divorce me. You know, you're useless just like the trash. You might be paying for the housekeeper, but your earnings are trivial, aren't they? There won't be much left after you pay for the housekeeper. You're like a parasite that clings to our family. You're a burden to the whole family. Exactly. Even a helper costs money, right? Anyone who's parasitic to our home and spends money on a helper should leave right now. Being treated like this by my husband and his family, I didn't feel there was any reason to stay in this house anymore. That's it. If I don't have a home to return to, I should find a new place for myself. That's what I thought. Maybe I should take the plunge and move out. I asked Amy for help in finding a new home. Amy was happy to help, and because everything could be done online, I was able to handle the moving arrangements from home. After finishing all the necessary procedures, I presented the completed divorce papers to my husband.
Oh, finally you signed. Well, this didn't happen because of me, but because of your physical condition. If you're going to blame someone, blame yourself.
I see, but you're sure you won't mind if I leave after our divorce, right?
Of course. Everyone around me says I can find a better wife, and I'm going to look for someone more suitable for me.
So you can manage your life without me?
I have my dad's retirement money, and Sarah says she got a good amount of compensation for being cheated on. So, we're good with money for a while, and there's no need to rely on you. Don't worry.
Oh, really? Then do as you please. My husband doesn't seem to fully understand the situation, but I decided not to mention it and moved as planned. And something good happened thanks to moving. By starting to live alone, I was able to receive living assistance from a helper that I couldn't before. They helped with all sorts of house chores, like cleaning and laundry, and even shopping for the daily necessities. I'm truly grateful for the helper who assists me in various ways. Even after the helper started providing life assistance, Amy continues to visit me regularly. Before getting married, Amy was a career woman working at a major company, and she's skilled in IT. However, due to the stressful human relationship and the atmosphere at the major company, she quit when she got married. That was a story from 20 years ago. Amy said with a laugh, but the fact that she was able to respond firmly to those mean ex-in-laws probably comes from her experience working at a major company. So now, instead of a housekeeper, I have asked her to manage my work. Amy is happy to support me, and I'm very grateful. The apartment I moved into is a barrier-free type where I can move around in a wheelchair freely, so it's convenient because I can move around on my own. The kitchen is spacious enough for a wheelchair, so I could now cook meals that I couldn't before. Just when I was getting used to the new environment and starting to get a handle on the rhythm of life, I began to receive frequent calls from Catherine. But I had decided I would not engage with my ex-husband's family any longer, so I ignored all her calls. In fact, my productivity skyrocketed after being free from those annoying ex-in-laws, and thanks to Amy's management skills, my workload increased to the point where I simply didn't have time for Catherine. Before I knew it, a year had passed amidst such busy days. Although not as frequent as before, I was still receiving calls from Catherine. Now that my life had finally settled down a bit, I decided to put an end to my relationship with my ex-husband's family by answering a call from Catherine. Hello, what can I do for you?
Ah, finally you answered. Listen here, why didn't you answer your phone? I called so many times. I was worried something had happened to you.
To my surprise, I was greeted with a fake sweet voice for the first time in a while. When we lived together, I don't recall her ever expressing any concern for me. She probably called because she found out about their dire living conditions and felt desperate. I wonder how they've been living for the past year. Oh, I appreciate your concern. I'm doing well, my health is good, and I'm living a nice, healthy life. Thank you for your concern.
Oh, really? I'm glad you're doing well. But there's something.
What is it?
Well, Mary, have you ever thought about living with us again?
What? You want to live with me, who was a parasitic piece of trash to you? I think you should reconsider what you're thinking.
I've done some thinking since then. I realized that it's wrong to leave you, who are physically challenged, on your own. From now on, we'll take care of you, so don't worry.
There's no need to worry. Once I started living alone, a helper has been helping me with cleaning, laundry, and shopping. Amy has also been supporting me with work, so I don't need any more assistance.
About that job, is it true that you're earning more than our son?
Yes, that's right. But it seems your son had forgotten about it when we divorced.
Mary, our son told us that you were earning nearly $10,000 per month.
Yes, I was the one supporting my ex-in-law's household with my income. When I became physically disabled due to that accident, my in-laws helped me out initially. Around the same time, my husband's salary decreased and we were on the verge of being in trouble financially. But since I was able to continue working and my income increased, I wanted to help my ex-in-laws in return. So I offered to support my husband in order to help his parents. At first, my husband would say things like,
"I'm sorry. Forgive me."
in guilt. But when I tried to tell his parents about the situation, he stopped me saying,
"Don't tell my parents about the salary cut. It would worry them. Let's keep it a secret."
But such a lifestyle had continued for almost 3 years, and gradually, the understanding that the source of living expenses, which was me, seemed to be fading within Jacob. At the time of the divorce, I thought that he was acting high and mighty despite his own salary, but I intentionally did not bring up that topic. Moreover, I knew that the cause of Sarah's divorce was not because of her ex-husband, but because she herself had an affair. Actually, I had secretly received a message about the divorce from Sarah's ex-husband. I was also told about the fact that Sarah had taken her ex-husband's money without any permission. Incredibly, she had referred to the money she took out as alimony. Sarah's ex-husband said that he would make sure to get back the money she took away on her own, and on the contrary, he was going to claim alimony from her. Upon hearing this, I thought I should get a divorce quickly before my in-laws found out. When I confronted her about this whole situation, Catherine seemed to be shocked, and there was silence for a while.
Actually, Jacob also liked a girl from the hostess bar and had been going there even to the extent of making a debt.
Oh, so did he say he wanted to divorce and live with her earnings?
No way. He's just one of many customers to the hostess girl, so he won't even count as a serious relationship to her. There's no way he would be relied upon by that girl.
Well, I guess that's true.
Did you know all of this?
Yes, I did. I knew everything from before.
Why didn't you tell me? Did you also know that Jacob's company is about to go bankrupt?
Yes.
What? You knew that too and didn't tell me? How cruel!
Furthermore, according to Catherine, Sarah ran away with the man she cheated with, which caused the divorce. But it didn't last, and she was dumped, made debts, and came back home. As for Jacob, his company went bankrupt half a year ago, and he is currently job hunting. But the arrogant ex-husband is always complaining about jobs that do not suit him. Therefore, he can't find a new job and is still unemployed. And the job hunting that is taking longer than expected has perhaps damaged his pride, and he seems to be shutting himself in lately.
Because Jacob is doing whatever he wants at our home, there is hardly any of his father's retirement money left. On top of that, there's still a lot of debt.
Oh, that sounds tough.
So, if you, Mary, come back, everything will be resolved.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what she means that it is resolve everything. Or rather, I can't understand why she, who was so mean to me and kicked me out before the divorce, is talking like this now. However, so much has changed in just a year. It happened faster than I expected. As a husband, he probably hadn't even thought his company would really go bankrupt. If Jacob is indifferent and casual about things, it seems like a plausible story. Catherine was tearfully saying,
"If I had known, I wouldn't have let him divorce you."
But it's too late to say such things now. No matter what they say, all they think about in the end is money. The only real concern is about their future. Sarah also seems to be living a life of just eating and sleeping, saying,
"I don't feel like working right now."
And she appears to have gained a lot of weight.
Oh, by the way, we sold the house we were living in to pay off their debt.
The ex-in-law's house was so old that the building itself had almost no value. And it was located in a very poor location, so selling it didn't bring in much money. They are now living in a small, cheap apartment with a family of 4, and their life seems to be quite harsh. The ex-in-laws are working part-time from morning till night every day, and they say it's hard because their bodies are worn out, and you can hear them crying over the phone.
If only you had answered the phone before we decided to sell the house, we wouldn't have to live this way.
If I had answered the phone, what would have happened?
Well, if it came to selling the house, you would have helped us, wouldn't you? You lived there too, so you must have been fond of it too, right?
What? I wasn't fond of it at all.
Oh, is that so?
I was so dumbfounded that I couldn't say a word. She was really only thinking about her own convenience. I was again glad that I didn't answer the phone from Catherine at that time. Well, even if I had mistakenly answered the phone, I probably wouldn't have agreed to such proposal. I see. So now Jacob and Sarah are living off of you, Catherine.
Please, come back to us. You're the only one we can rely on, Mary.
I'm a complete stranger to you now. I don't know what to do when you say things like that.
Please, don't be so cold. We admit we were wrong and we apologize. I've got a great idea. Let's build a barrier-free house where we can live together happily using your money, Mary.
Why is she saying such things now? I can't understand. I started getting a headache from hearing these outrageous statements. There's no point in continuing this, so let's give her a final notice and end this. I'm sorry, but I have to refuse. Oh, but the reason I answered the phone today was because I have some special information to share with you, Catherine.
Special information?
I'm going to demand compensation from all of your family members.
What? Why? Why do we have to pay compensation? And besides, Jacob didn't cheat just because he was neglected by that girl from the hostess bar.
It's not compensation for the affair. This time I'm demanding compensation for the emotional distress caused by the verbal abuses I received from all of you.
What? What are you saying?
I had filmed a few scenes where I was verbally abused by the ex-in-laws, and when I told her I would use that as evidence, Catherine seemed quite agitated and hastily hung up the phone. Did she think that continuing the conversation would further disadvantage her? Or is there something else she's guilty of? I can't help but wonder about that. After that, when I demanded compensation through my lawyer told me that Catherine made a scene and cried, saying,
"We are living in a terrible situation and we cannot afford to pay any compensation."
Of course, hearing that does not sway my feelings at all. By the way, I've got a job drawing illustrations for a certain picture book. I feel like I'm one step closer to my dream of becoming a picture book author. There have been many tough and difficult times, but I want to keep moving forward without taking it easy, and continue to strive for the future.